Frankly Speaking Roof Cam, brought to you by Boss Security in Horseheads. Contact them today for all your business and home security needs. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken. We're broadcasting from the Hesselson studio, and joining me in the studio this morning, Chris, I can't believe it's already this time of year that we're talking college fair.
It's here, Frank. It's here.
How's the planning going?
Busy. You know, we're 4 weeks out from today from the college fair, and as I told you before, and thank you for having me on first and foremost, the planning never stops.
No.
The planning starts the next day. I mean, matter of fact, last year I went over the reviews from people.
I remember.
And going over, okay, what do they suggest? What do they want improved? You know, what do we need to work on? And of course, as you know, every year it's funding.
Yeah,
it's funding. Yeah, that's what I need, donations.
And we're going to talk about that in just a moment. Of course, it's the college fair at the Elmira Elks Lodge. That's April 30th from 6 to 8 p.m. So the planning is in full force right now. How long have you been doing the college fair, Chris?
Well, when I was elected to the Elmira Heights School Board in 2010, Mary Beth Fiore, who was the superintendent, and I had this plan in the fall. We were on our way to New York City, and I got talking to her about it. We were down there for the New York State School Board Conference, and I said, I'd like to do this in the fall. And this started in 2010.
Wow.
With the idea, and we ran it in the spring of 2011.
I got to say, I've been interviewing you almost the whole time, because you went back to the radio days, right?
Correct.
We did that. Yes. Time flies.
Yeah, you think about it. I mean, that's 14 years ago.
Yeah. That's wild. And when you mentioned that you're on the school board and that's where this kind of sprung from, I think it's really important to note that what you're putting on here is nothing that's being funded by taxpayers.
That's correct.
Maybe you could stress that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'd like to, and thank you for that opportunity. This is not funded by your taxpayer dollar for the schools. This is done on the goodness of the Elks, letting us host it there. I'm a proud member of the Elks.
Of course.
And on top of that, it's by all these sponsors, which I'll go to with you in a minute.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for these sponsors and the volunteers, this would not be happening.
No, and as you said, it is a lot of work to put on. What made you in the first place come up with this idea to hold a college fair in our area? Why do you go through all this work?
Well, a couple things. First off, my master's in higher education administration. I was working in higher education at the time, and I realized we need to catch these juniors and sophomores and seniors that haven't got a plan. Right. And unfortunately, they're out there. When I worked in Long Island for SUNY Westbury, we used to call him Larry Come Lately from Long Beach, who would show up in August and say, I want to go to school.
Right.
Well, college starts next week or that week. So my thing is, it's never too late to go back to school. It's never too early to plan to go to school. So with that being said, it's a passion of my heart. One of the biggest things that I've seen is the brain drain in this area, the southern tier. People go off to college and don't come back.
Yes.
You know, and we have opportunities here for you to come back and get gainful employment. So that was one of the reasons. No one did this for me. We didn't have this then. And you know, I care about our community. I can't stress that enough. And with a background in education and I work in higher education and all my connections and experiences, why not bring that to Elmira Heights, New York?
You know, it's interesting because someone had texted me recently, and I won't name names or even the school district, but they wondered when you were going to be back on the program and when the college fair was going to be, because they remember our interview from last year, and they felt that the school district that their son or daughter was going to was not doing an adequate enough job getting them the information on colleges. And I thought, well, that's very interesting. So you actually are kind of like an added bonus addition to add on to what they're doing in the schools.
Correct. And I'm also a free addition.
Yeah, right.
As I mentioned, you know, we don't get paid. I don't, and the volunteers to do this. And it's unfortunate. Our school counselors, as I always call them guidance counselors, they're under a lot of stress. They play many roles.
Oh, yeah.
God bless them all for what they do in the school district. So it's tough. So here they have an opportunity to I make sure I send a flyer out and an invite to every school district.
Of course.
So if there's a school district that isn't getting this information, let me know. I'm still in the phone book.
Yes.
You can look me up. You can call me. You can email me. It's on the poster. I will get that information to that school district.
So it's easier to find your number than it is to actually find a phone book.
You know, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Good point. Checkmate right there. Yes, that's very true. But they can reach me. And on top of that, I will get this information out to that school. And going back to that, yeah, so they're a lot of them are overworked without question.
Oh, yeah.
And so then you throw on this college fair. So I'm taking that burden off of them by running this event. And that's how we get this up and going. But we'd love to have them there. I've said this to you many times. Every school counselor who can see me, hear me, know about it, they're welcome to come down. They get a chance to meet 50 different opportunity of colleges, universities, tech schools, law enforcement agencies, which I'll get into that are there.
Great idea.
And one night. It's one-stop shopping.
Yeah.
And all the work is done for the students and the guidance/school counselors to come down and talk to them.
You had mentioned volunteers. How many people does it take to run this?
Well, a lot,
Yeah.
a lot. Sometimes I have more that volunteer, sometimes I have less.
Sure.
But I want to give a big shout out, if I could, real quick, to my lovely wife, Lindsay, who does a tremendous amount of work with me and puts up a lot of my things to get this going, especially the last 4 weeks out that we are today, because things are coming in. Also, my very good friend, Chris Giacondo, who's been my IT specialist down at Philadelphia. And he's not even there, and he's helping out volunteering. I couldn't do it internally without April Bates from the Elmira Elks, who runs everything for us in the books. Also, there's several others that I could run down a list of people that help us out to volunteer. And then, as I was mentioning earlier, the Career Development Council this year and last year jumped on board to help out because they're in the schools. They're promoting this college fair.
Right.
And they've jumped on board to help get this word out amongst the schools, too. And they've helped me with that, too. And they've helped make this poster. Dr. Harris.
It looks great.
Yes. So it's awesome. I could go right down the list of people. Jen Sunsire, who put this together for me. And then, of course, we got laminated, and we're going to be putting this around all parts of town. Maybe AJ's studio here will let me put one up.
Yeah.
He come to the event before and said, anything I can do to help you.
Yeah.
So that's the point. But yeah, it takes a ton of volunteers. Mike Seifert, Eddie Atwood, Chris Giacondo, as I mentioned, my wife, my son Leonidas, who likes to play the little host. He's like the people greeter who's there, who walks around. And Jenny Jarvis, Deb Lynch, I could go down, Dan Delorme. My goodness, there's so many that help me out. Mike Seifert, who's an elected official.
Of course.
And of course, all the sponsors that I could go right down. But over the years, it's changed. And I want to give a big shout out to the Elmira Heights School District, Superintendent Mike Gill, who stepped in for me when I got COVID a couple years back, did a tremendous job.
Yeah.
And all the volunteers that stepped up and made it happen. The Heights School District has been a wonderful supporter of this. Of course, I'm on the school board, and that helps with the push internally. But anyone that wants to get involved, I could use their help.
Yes. And you had mentioned sponsors. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. But for those that don't know about the College Fair, and there's really no excuse at this point not to know about the College Fair at the Elmira Elks Lodge, Wednesday, April 30th, 4 weeks from today, 6 to 8 p.m. Who is this catered for specifically?
Anyone that wants to further their education. So if you're a student looking to transfer from a community college, or you'll be getting ready to graduate in May, congratulations. Come down, talk to somebody about transferring and go on to the next part of your career. If you're someone that has lingering credits out there and you want to finish it, come down and talk to them. See how the application process works. If you're a struggling student, you need motivation, talk to them. This is the reality check. Geez, I'm in 10th grade, my grades are struggling. They're going to tell you need to have a certain GPA if you want to get in this institution.
Right.
You need to pull it up. Or if you're that Larry come lately from Long Beach, who's a senior, doesn't have a plan, come down and talk to the colleges. If you're a freshman thinking about, geez, what do I want to do in a couple of years? What do I need to do to get in that college? Come down. It's targeted the entire community. And if you're a grandparent that's helping pay for school for your grandson, or if you're a parent looking to say, how are we going to afford this? Come down, talk to them, see what the costs are. You'd be shocked at all the monies that are out there. The Elmira Elks, in particular the Elks in general, gives out the second most amount of money behind the federal government for scholarships.
Wow.
And we'll have the flyer right there available to them. So come down and get the flyer and check it out. And one thing, if I take the second here, we talked about this last year, and I'm looking to finish up the donations because I deem donations. At 8 p.m. at the end of the event this year, we're going to do the first time ever. We're going to have 3 drawings done. One is going to be by Mayor Dan Mandel, the city mayor, who's also been a sponsor, has jumped on board the last couple of years. Also, the exalted ruler from the Elks is going to pull, Rick Petsky is going to pull a number, a name. And then we have a third person we haven't decided yet, but I'm pretty sure I'm trying to figure out who that might be. Possibly Sally Dean Mosier coming down and be the ringer for this.
Yeah.
But it's going to be $1,000, $600, and $400, and we're going to be able to write you a check.
That's wonderful.
Right there on the spot. And again, this wouldn't be done without donations.
Wow.
And what do you have to lose except come down, walk around, fill out a form, see what's happening, and possibly have your name drawn to get a scholarship.
$1,000 scholarship.
Yes.
That's amazing. This is what I mean. You change it and adapt each new year and make it bigger and better, but still, again, like you were talking about earlier, community focused.
Correct.
And now we can mention the sponsors because there's so much involvement with the community that would not make this possible. Before we go through that, is it still possible to be a sponsor?
It is. It's definitely. Sponsor availability is right up to the night of the event. Because we need the cash to make this happen.
Yeah.
The bottom line, as we pointed out, as you did, it's not funded by the school districts. So if there's someone out there that would like to be a sponsor, you want to call me up and say, hey, Mr. Callas, you want to email me, by all means, please reach out to me. Whatever you can give, it helps. Every penny goes towards the college fair. So yes, it's not too late. But if I could rattle off some of these sponsors, would be great. As always, Hilliard has been a wonderful sponsor.
Great. Yep.
Can't do it without them. The Elmira Elks, of course. A Horseheads Elks lets us borrow tables because we have to go get tables and bring them back. Yeah. And they've been a sponsor too. Thank you for their donation. The Elmira Heights PFO has been a sponsor. They've come on board. Thank you for them. Hamilton Meats is a new sponsor. Chris Bennett has helped us out now this year. We've also got Jeremy Gulich in the Bulldogs Cafe because of food, wonderful pork. Matter of fact, one of the reviews said it was the best pulled pork they've had ever.
Not just at the college fair.
Not at the yeah, which is great. Culligan Water, which you can see right here behind me,
of course,
has been a sponsor. Thank you for the delicious water. Margison's Insurance Agency. Mark, thank you very much. Boss Security Automations.
They do our roof cam on the program.
They sure do. Scott Beecher, thank you so much.
Job.
Great guy. Dan Mandel, Mayor of Elmira, which I mentioned. Wise Markets jumped on. Chris, the manager down there, has been a great person to help us out. He's local, right there. So thank you, Chris. Rodney Strange has been a staple. One of our
almost from the beginning, I think.
Yeah, almost. Rodney's been a great sponsor.
Great guy.
Can't do without him. Also, Marty Chalk, another legislator. Him and Rodney Strange, and of course Steve Pickering, another legislator that jumped on board. And these are just a few. I'm sorry, I cannot forget Tara at Wags, Woofs, and Wiggles at Doggy Daycare at Elmira Heights. She just jumped on board. Tara has been wonderful for this and to come on board. And again, here's some of the sponsors. Over the years, as you know, we could fill a whole wall full of sponsors that have come and gone. So if you can help us for 1 year, great. If you can help us for many years, even better. But we can't do it without the local sponsorships.
And one thing, as we wrap up here, that I wanted to mention, because you kind of alluded to it, obviously you've got public and private schools, and on this poster, there's the QR code. I mean, the list grows day by day. You got 2- and 4-year schools, in-state and out-of-state, technical schools, but you have armed services there as well, and you said police?
Yes. So with that being said, if you take this poster or you see a poster, which are up in most schools now, there's a QR code right here. You scan this with your smartphone, and the CDC put this together for us. Thank you for Deb Lynch and Sarah for doing this for us, Aspen, to get this up and running, amongst others who've helped out. Internally, this is a new addition.
Oh, yeah.
So now you just scan it, you can see, and I update this list as they come in, which is great. But to going back to the armed services, we have the National Guard, New York State National Guard, Sergeant Rankin, who's been a sponsor in the past. Hopefully he'll be a sponsor again this year. He has signed up. Of course, we have, I believe, the U.S. Navy's coming. And then on top of that, as I've talked about our local law enforcement, we have the DEC is coming again this year.
Oh, great.
We have the New York State Troopers has been a staple. They've been coming every year. Can't speak highly enough about them. We also have the Elmira City Police coming.
Oh, great.
We also have the Elmira Fire Department, because they're all looking for cadets. They're all looking for cadets. And so there's not just colleges. There's also these law enforcement agencies that are there that need to hire you and talk to you about how the training works and how you can get a job and go right into the law enforcement.
Well, Chris, thanks so much for giving us so much time. Right before we go, I ask this every year, what should attendees bring to be best prepared for the college fair held Wednesday, April 30th from 6 to 8 p.m.?
First off, bring their questions. Don't come down to a college fair without questions. Come talk to your school counselor. I'm sure they can provide you a list of questions. You can go online, reach out to somebody and talk to them about questions. Bring your questions, like how much does it cost? When is the application deadline? What is my GPA needed? Can I bring a car? Can I bring a pet? A lot of schools allow pets on campus now.
Really?
Yes, they are. And then also on top of it, you know, what's the graduation rates? That's very important. Am I going to a school where there's not a big graduation rate? You know, also, can I transfer to that school? What if I start locally, stay here, save some money, and then transfer out? You know, I did that. I went to the University of Buffalo. So there's that option for you too. Do they have international programs? Maybe you want to study abroad like I did. I went to Greece. You know, maybe you want to do that and see a lot of other parts of the world. See if they have those. Most importantly, you know, bring your mom and dad if you can. Bring your grandma, grandpa. Bring your friends. Bring your classmates. Bring your teammates. Because a lot of schools have practice. They don't get out till later. So we're open until 8 o'clock. So if you're having practice, you know, to get done at 6:37, it's not too late. One thing I did forget, I want to mention, we also have this year 5 mascots that'll be out front with music blaring. We also have Elroy the Elk. We have Ace the Aviator from the local hockey team. We have Stitches from the Pioneers.
Of course.
We have the Spartan from at Thomas Essen High School. And this year, new in addition, we have the Prowler, the Panther, from Campbell Savona High School.
That's great.
So yes, we have them coming down, and they're going to be on the corners dancing. Who knows? Probably handing out free tickets.
So you're not going to be able to miss it then.
No, it's a very entertaining event out front,
is.
and then inside, as I tell you, it's the education.
And that's the college fair coming up Wednesday, April 30th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Elmira Elks Lodge. Thanks for giving us so much time, and I hope that we can talk again before the actual day. How's that?
Yes, sounds good. See you in 4 weeks.
That's right. See you in 4 weeks. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.